Om Namo Narayanaya. We are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, something that I've wanted to read for a while, and it's actually the reason I got this channel started was to read this with all of you. And also, it can be hard to commit to reading something on a daily basis. So creating these videos actually gives me an incentive to just sit down and read. Or read the spiritual books versus another book, like a novel or something. And it really forces me to do something because I have to create. So if you're finding you want to read stuff, well, you can join me. You can even recommend books, though you may have to wait a while till I get to it, but I'm happy to read stuff. Or maybe you need to create some sort of situation that sort of forces you to create. I actually ran a 5-mile race over the past weekend, and which was yesterday, and it was a donut dash where you run 2.5 miles, supposedly eat 15 donuts or 7.5 if you have a team, and then run another 2.5 miles. My girlfriend and I did it in 50 minutes. I'd never run a race before. She was doing my pace, which was about 10-minute miles or so, and it was really great. And was interesting is usually I run around the neighborhood and I stop, I start traffic, whatever. But the race, we were down to the last half mile, and I was beginning to go like, I can't, like, I'm really doing it, but I have to keep running. I'm not going to stop because I can see the finish line. So it was a really great way to keep me going that I don't have when I normally go out. And that's what these videos are for me. So maybe you need to find something for yourself that forces you to do this. Yes, we're doing this for God, Krishna, but sometimes that's just not enough motivation. That's reality. Some people say, oh no, it's absolutely enough, but I think for a lot of folks who have lives and Maya, whatever, we do need something more physical that gets us going. Anyways, sorry for the long rant. It's just a thought that came to me. And this is going through books, but it's not necessarily audiobooks. Anyways, here we go. Chapter 2, Divinity and Divine Service. Suta Goswami, the son of Roma Harshana, being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of the Brahmanas, thanked them and thus attempted to reply. Srila Suta Goswami said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that great sage Sukadeva Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. When he went away to take up the renounced order of life as a sannyasa, leaving home without undergoing reformation by the sacred thread or the ceremonies observed by the higher castes, his father, Vyasadeva, fearing separation from him, cried out, 'O my son!' Indeed, only the trees, which were absorbed in the same feelings of separation, echoed in response to the bereaved father. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, Suka, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vasudeva, who, out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge, after having personally assimilated it by experience. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto Lord Vishnu, Narayana, unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vasudeva, the author. Ah, sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. The supreme occupation for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. By rendering devotional service unto Lord Vishnu, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of Lord Vishnu. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, according to sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. Life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's work. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shutri. Best among the twice-born. It is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to caste divisions and orders of life is to please Lord Vishnu. Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship Lord Vishnu, who is the protector of the devotees. With sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work, that being karma, by remembering Lord Vishnu. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? Twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Sri Krishna, Lord Vishnu, who is the Paramatma, the super soul, in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto Lord Vishnu, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. And soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with the devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of Lord Vishnu in the stage of liberation from all material association. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance, and just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. Firewood is a transformation of earth, but smoke is better than raw wood, and fire is still better, for by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge, that is, through Vedic sacrifice. Similarly, passion is better than ignorance, but goodness is best, because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. Previously, all the great sages rendered service unto Lord Vishnu due to his existence above the three modes of material nature. They worshipped him to become free from material conditions, and thus derive the ultimate benefit. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world. Those who are serious about liberation are certainly not envious, and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and ghostly forms of the demigods and worship only the all-blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his plenary portions. Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance worship those in the same category, namely the forefathers, other living beings and demigods who are in charge of cosmic activities, for they are urged by a desire to be materially benefited with women, wealth, power, and progeny. In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, Lord Vishnu. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please Him. Yoga is for realizing Him. All fruitive actions are ultimately rewarded by Him only. He is supreme knowledge, and all severe austerities are performed to know Him. Religion is rendering loving service unto Him. He is the supreme goal of life. In the beginning of the material creation, the absolute personality of Godhead, in the transcendental position, created the energies of cause and effect by His own internal energy. After creating the material substance, the Lord expands Himself and enters into it, and although He is within the material modes of nature and appears to be one of the created beings, He is always fully enlightened in His transcendental position. The Lord as Supersoul pervades all things, just as fire permeates wood, and so He appears to be of many varieties, though He is the Absolute One without a second. The Supersoul enters into the bodies of the created beings who are influenced by the modes of material nature and causes them to enjoy the effects of these modes by the subtle mind. Thus the Lord of the universes maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men, and lower animals. Assuming the role of incarnations, He performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. And thus ends this chapter. There is so much there. I'm not even going to begin to go into it. I will recommend, though, picking up Sri Prabhupada's many volumes of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the translation, but what he includes in those volumes is his purport, his ideas, his thoughts to expand upon this stuff. And while it may seem like a lot of reading, it really gets you to think about stuff and gets you to study stuff. Same with his version of the Bhagavad Gita as it is. I recommend that version, though it is tough to read, but the way I read it is I just read it straight through as we're doing like this, and then I go back and I read the purport and I study it and I dissect it. Yes, it means you're reading things a couple times, but it's totally worth it. Anyways, aside from you going out and doing some studying on all the great stuff I just read, please put your thoughts, comments, and all that down below. Let's talk. Let's start a conversation. Let's praise the Lord Krishna. That's why we're here. This is very exciting for me, if you can't tell. I'm really enjoying being able to finally read this book. I feel like I'm achieving something. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. And having you join me, we can achieve it together. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.